three right away. Just attack the basket. James catches, puts up a three. Won't go. Rebound Bosh. Back out to Allen. His three-pointer. Bang! Tie game with 5 seconds remaining.
Welcome to the Ultimate Super Coach and Fantasy Sports Show. You are now listening to the Insight Fantasy Sports Podcast.
Boom shakalaka!
Good afternoon, Hoopers, and welcome to a special Insight podcast. This is a lot of fun. I'm here with two of my good mates and friends of the show, friends of the family, and family indeed. We have to play this, don't we? Every time we get together in the room, we got to play this guy right down here. This is Super Coach Brain.
Big brain time.
Yes, it is indeed. And the biggest of the horses. Some would call him a stallion. It is SC Big Horse, McDowell.
Some of those people, not including my missus. How are we, boys?
I'm well. Mate. I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be good fun. I mean, the 20-person mock draft is not something that we do often. We're only in one of those leagues, I think, out of the 257 leagues I think I'm in. So we've got plenty to talk through, G. And maybe best to throw over to you first of all, as the draft's probably kicking off in a couple of minutes now. What are your thoughts and what's the difference between a 12-man and a 20-man for you in terms of tactics and the way you approach it?
Fucking everything. This is a shit show.
Yeah.
A 20-man league, let's be honest, is an absolute shit show. It depends on where you are, and I happen to be the perfect size turd picking at pick 17. So I think, and I'm not happy about it. I'm doing it in our I-League competition. Shout out to, obviously, Karl on I-League. Mick Dell, where are you? You're picking from your spot today, aren't you, mate?
Yeah, I am. I'm picking from pick 8. Tricky spot. Hopefully someone nice drops down. For me, there's a clear 6 or a top 6 in here. But the tricky part for me is being in the middle. You don't know what sort of strategy to go with until you're 3 or 4 picks deep. So again, like you've been teaching our viewers, Matty, you got to think on the fly. You've got to be prepared. And here I am. This is what I'll be doing with the help of fantasy scores.
And dickhead, Nathan Brain, you are a lovely man. And what pick do you have, Nathan? Tell everybody how blessed you are.
No, you know what? Okay, fair call. All right, I'm taking 2. Purely because I got the second pick in the Ball League 20-man competition. So shout out to Karl. I already have transferred him that $500 for rigging the draft. So thanks Karl for that. But yeah, I'm picking from 2. But the hard thing from picking from 2, you get such an early pick, and you've got to wait bloody 37 picks until you have another crack. So you're spot on, Mick, in terms of having to think on the fly. And I think it becomes even harder now because there's so much that can happen in between picks that you really have to adjust maybe 2 or 3 picks before.
Yeah, you do. And I think that's where you have to adjust yourself and your drinking habits and drink responsibly and sensibly with our good friends, the Standard Squeeze, because they do help you drink responsibly and conveniently. And also to our good friends crew, you've shouted out to them, Fantasy Scores, who are really fantastic. And they've provided us with our listeners with a promo code. If you use Insight on Fantasy Scores, it's a Yahoo league. And if you're using Yahoo, you got to get this tool. It's really powerful. It helps you embrace Z scores to make the most out of your draft and your team. Boys, I know you play with it. You guys love it, yeah?
Oh, for me, I love it. And I'll be using it today because what you can do, even though it doesn't input directly into the Yahoo platform, you can tick your plays that you're picking, you put it in, you see what your strengths are, your weaknesses are, and that's going to help me draft strategize here.
Look, boys, I think Braino, you talk us up to your picks and then all the way up to Horsey. And then Horsey, if you want to talk us up to mine, and then I'll talk us back down the ladder because we've got a lot of picks here. So I think it's important to go through them and see how we go, especially if you are in a big 20-man league.
Absolutely.
There's so much going on.
Yeah, there is. And I've tried to draft on my phone at the same time, but it's actually hating me. So we'll see how we go. I'm going to, with the second, so first pick was Nikola Jokic, which is pretty obvious, obviously. I'm going to take, for the sake of this draft, I'm going to take Luka Doncic at 2. And the reason for that, not only because Luka's a gun, but in this specific league that we're drafting in, shout out to the Ball League and to Karl, there is triple doubles as a category in this one. So that will definitely play a factor as to what categories are being counted in your league. So Luka Doncic, very big triple-double threat. I'll take him at 2 instead of Embiid, who I would have taken in another league.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a good shout. Does that mean people that are triple-double threats later in the draft become more relevant, Mr. Brain?
Yes, I think so. I mean, look, Russell Westbrook probably shoots up the board, doesn't he? You know, you're not taking him based on efficiency, based on turnovers. He can kill a few categories for you, can't he? So you're definitely not taking him in normal 9 cat in the, top 100, but maybe he does shoot up into the top 100 as a triple-double threat when you expand categories.
And for you, Mr. G Wiz, Ben Simmons, there's been a bit of hype about him this preseason. With a triple-double category in this 9-cat 20-team league, do you think that skyrockets his value as well?
Yeah, absolutely. These are guys who, again, this is what you need to know your league. So I've just actually gone and had a bit of a look at a bit of our league right now just to see what one we've got. So we're drafting for field goals. We got field goals made. Let's go through them. Score. Here we go. It hasn't imported yet. So we're looking at field goal percentage, free throw percentage, 3 points made, 3-point percentage, which is an interesting one, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, turnovers, and triple doubles, as well as points. So those are where we sit, Mick. So whenever you look at all the categories, you're picking players based on these categories, obviously, to make them. And again, with 3-point percentage, Mick, I know that you had some fun with this last year. It can be tough. It can be tough.
So for me, we're up to the 8th pick. This top 7 are as per usual. I'm going to try something different today. I have been looking at LaMelo Ball with the 8th pick, but I'm going to go with Giannis today. I can go a couple of ways with Giannis. My early thoughts are I may go a punt free throw build or punt free throw strategy, but we'll see how we go because, geez, I've got 20-something picks until my next pick, so a lot can happen between now and then.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So with our first 8, we've got Jokic, Doncic, Embiid, SGA, Tatum at 5, Halliburton at 6, Steph Curry at 7, Giannis at 8. Is there anyone you expect, Mr. G Wiz, to fly up the board a little bit when we're talking? Well, we've been doing mock drafts now for probably 3 or 4 weeks. Is there anyone that's really shot up in this area for you?
Yeah, I guess it's all the triple-double guys for me, really. It's the triple-double. So just looking at guys who are going to possibly facilitate that for you, I think that's where it is. And again, as you said, Mick, this is a 20-teamer. So when you're looking at this, we're at pick 10. Pick 9 was Kevin Durant. So it's like Kevin Durant, could he get you a triple-double? He likes to pass the ball around. But do you think he's going to facilitate that in Phoenix this year? I don't know. But for me, it's targets definitely on that. I'm looking at it right now, and it's hard, man. It's so hard to see who's going to get you triple doubles over the course of the season. It's really tough. There's only Josh Giddey, I think, is one of the guys that probably goes up more. Braino, you reckon Giddey?
Absolutely. Giddey probably becomes maybe a top 40 asset then if you're playing triple-double category. LaMelo Ball is a guy maybe who doesn't – I mean, his ADP's around 12 at the moment. I would probably argue maybe he – and he's another perfect example of a guy who can get you a triple-double. So, yeah, you definitely have to be wary of it in those leagues. But again, you probably shouldn't overvalue it either. Yes, it can win you a week, but are you going to go and chase all these guys that can get you triple doubles? Probably not. You probably need to be selective. Yeah, absolutely. It can cost you in other categories. So definitely wary on that one. So, I mean, if you can get yourself a guy, just one guy that'll get you a triple double, that'll more often than not win you a week just by getting one triple double within a week.
Yeah. So, I'm looking at this now. Sabonis right there. I'm going early. At 12. That's early, but in this league, it's highly valuable. If you're in an I League triple double league, that's highly valuable. And there's another guy you mentioned goes straight away, LaMelo Ball.
So he's gone before guys like Dame Lillard, Anthony Edwards. People have been high on him. Trae Young was a first round pick last year, and when we say first round, I should say in 12 team category leagues. Yep. When we're saying a first round pick in a 20-man league, it starts to spread a little bit. You've got guys like, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, even Mikal Bridges becomes a first round player in a 20-man league potentially.
Yeah, 100%. And this is where I think the boys, you'd agree, right now they're pick 14 is about to happen. Pick 13 was Lillard. There you go. Mm-hmm. Pick 14 becomes Damian Lillard. Right now, I guess this is the point. This is our mate SC Hawk, which is Robbie from the Inside Podcast Network. This is where it all falls off a fucking cliff. 100%. This is, for me, it's where it's an absolute shit show, because now if you're thinking about traditional leagues, boys, this is the turn back, isn't it? So this is where someone would pair Booker. So someone would be pairing Booker, someone would be pairing Ball with, this is where that goes. But when you're in a 20-teamer, what you're ultimately looking for, strategy, and my advice to anyone picking from 14 down is you are looking for those targets like Kyrie Irving, for example, who is a first-round player. Can you get someone that late? So can you get first-round guys pick 17? And someone's taken Donovan Mitchell right now. I think that is early. That's pick 16. So you're looking at Donovan Mitchell as a top 16 player because he's not going to be a triple-double threat. Does that make sense to you guys?
It does.
I'm taking James Harden before Donovan Mitchell purely off the back of that.
And that's why I think I'm about to grab him because of it. To be honest, I think I'm looking at James Harden also because I picked him up last year as pick 7 in the same league. So whether he's playing in Philly, I'm going to take Harden. That's a triple-double for me, and I'm just going to have to give it a go. I don't think it's my best pick, but it's a triple-double threat, so I'm going to take one on the board. Trae Young after that one, not so much a triple-double threat, but obviously going to stack in those points, threes, and assists. And this is pretty much going to round us up to the back of the round. So I'm still looking now for guys who would be traditional first-round value to return that now with my third pick overall. So then, Mick, it's you. When you pick, you're looking at guys who are early third-round value, but you want to take them in your second.
Yeah. This is tough. Just watching names fly off the board. We still haven't made it into the second round yet. We're 19 picks deep. So when you're talking about 12-team leagues, we're almost into the third round by the time the turn comes. So it's ultra important to draft strategize. De'Aaron Fox at 19, Kyrie at 20.
Yeah, see, that's early for Fox. He's not going to give you a triple-double, so he doesn't jump in value as far as I'm concerned. Look, he's also going in other drafts. Braino, what, 3rd, 4th round? 5th round?
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. I think his ADP, when I've looked at the consensus ADP across the board, is sitting around that late 30s mark at the moment. And we've picked him at half of that in this draft. So maybe a Kings fan, Michael, not sure. But could be a homer pick. Who knows?
See, here's some interesting ones for you.
Yeah. Have you seen that? He's paired De'Aaron Fox with Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah, that's early.
At 22. That is very, very early for Victor Wembanyama. Especially with we've talked about this a little bit in the Spurs podcast and things like that, where we're worried about the shutdown effect potentially in San Antonio, and how many games he plays this year is potentially a talking point, isn't it, G?
Yeah, 100%. So I'm just looking at this, and I'm looking how people are pairing picks. Now, Cat has played a couple of nice games in the International Exhibition NBA games over in Abu Dhabi. Looks good. Looks good for Minnesota. Now it's the preseason, but that gives me the faith that when I'm trying to get him in the 3rd round, I'm going to put a name out there who I like on the board because people can listen back to this. Guys who are important right now, Bam, but I'm actually going to go down and I'm going to take Kawhi Leonard. So Kawhi Leonard is my risk-reward guy. He's at 25. I'm not going to get him back, but Kawhi Leonard is a top 20 NBA player. He's a top 15 NBA player. So to get him for me in round 2 with 40, basically 30 picks between it, I'm not going to get that again. But another guy I like there was Cade Cunningham. Because I think Cade Cunningham can drop in a couple of triple-doubles this season. Boys, what are your thoughts?
Yep. I've got him in my queue.
Yep.
Yeah, he'll be in everybody's queue, I think, Cade, this year. I think the excitement factor behind what he could do with a full season under his belt. I know that obviously it was an injury-affected year last year for Cade. So hopefully this year he can put a full season together. Has a bit of a bounce back. We know the talent, So, he's going to be in my queue in every draft I do.
Yeah, 100%.
So we've got a couple that have already gone. Kristaps Porzingis went. So Damo's paired Donovan Mitchell with Kristaps Porzingis, which I don't mind now that Robert Williams is out of town in Boston. That's a nice one. Yep. And then Rob, straight after that, has paired Anthony Edwards with LeBron James.
Homer.
So that is a homer, absolutely.
Although he is a Lakers man, so he'd be stoked that he's getting LeBron there.
He would be absolutely pumped. But he's also triple-doubles. LeBron, guys, come on. He puts him up there. So he jumps in value.
Sorry, it hasn't been mentioned yet. LeBron James.
Yeah.
Every podcast, it's compulsory.
Hey, G, why is Fred Van Fleet dropping? Tell us. Because we did a draft last night, a proper one. No mock drafts, a proper one. 12 team, 10 round
Yeah,
draft.
the boys.
9 cat, yep. I picked him up at the end of the 4th round.
You did. Yeah, I don't know.
He's still he's a season,
I don't know.
Top 20, top 25 player.
Yeah, let me actually bring this up right now. I've got the ADPs here. Let me bring up where he's going. I've actually been very, very interested to see where I got to put in the word Van. If you search Fleet, it won't work just the same way. So his average ADP right now is 43. In ESPN, for some god-awful reason, he's at 70. He's actually dropped down, Fred VanVleet, and I don't know why. Yahoo, he's dropped to 24, and on Fantrax, he's 29. So I don't really know why he's going that low. I mean, ESPN, for him to be going at 70, he's just well off people's radar. But for me, I'm a proponent right now that you're starting around the 30s. If he's on your board, you've got to be thinking about picking him up, like 100%.
And also, I think we experienced last night, didn't we, with ESPN and their rankings and their ADPs just seemed way off the mark. No offense to ESPN. Maybe there is offense to ESPN.
There's massive offense to ESPN.
For VanVleet to be at a 71 ADP, I think whatever it was last night, and there were a couple of other real bizarre ones. Walker Kessler was at 76 or something in ESPN. So Fantrax and Yahoo seem to be a lot more kind of aligned with ADP and ranking at the moment. So what are your thoughts on drafting off the back of ADP? I know you've spoken a lot about this, G, and you have a pretty strong opinion on the topic. It's something to avoid, isn't it?
Yeah, do not fucking do it. I just did a wonderful pod this morning. Shout out to Mitch Casey from Ball Boys Fantasy. And the first thing that we said is, here's the lesson. When you're taking risk, especially, just don't draft off ADP. There's ADPs for a reason. For instance, if your guy is injured, they're going to still be on there. So you'll be a guy at the top of the queue. I spoke about with Skitty with this as well. You'll have a guy who's injured sitting at the top of that queue. So other guys will come off. And if you're new to fantasy and you're looking at that, you're like, oh my God, Jaylen Brown's there. Oh, it's 5 to 6 rounds in. Jaylen Brown's there. Why is he not there? You might not know the full story behind it. He could be sitting out training camp. You could be hearing rumors, and you're backing on just taking the best guy in a queue than actually doing your research and really getting in and digging deeper to why those guys are still on the wire. Don't draft off ADP. They're all in place. Draft with your gut and draft off with your strategy, like you're about to do, Mickey Dell.
Yeah, I was hoping Cade would drop one more spot, but he unfortunately has been taken. We're going to keep rolling with the triple-double threat here, and I'm going to go back-to-back bigs and pick up the spinny boy, Pascal Siakam. He's been known to drop the odd triple-double. I think without Fred VanVleet, there's more of an opportunity for the spinny boy and Scotty Barnes to handle the rock a little more, which in turn more assists.
Yeah.
Bit of alliteration there, Spinny Siakam. I like it. Maybe that'll catch on.
Spinny.
He loves it, driving into the paint and doing his little spin move. Loves it, so he's the spinny boy.
Shout out to Udoji on NBA 2K, who loves to do the spin move into the post and then get stripped or lose the ball. So shout out to Dodge, who is in this. He's in this draft as well. Who are we now? Obviously, your 2 picks are gone. Leading up to my pick now, it's still so far away that I'm still really struggling to get a gauge on who's going to fall to me, because I feel like now most of the time when I'm drafting at 2 and then I'm drafting again at 38 or 39 or whatever it is, I kind of have to wait to make my decision until I'm maybe 5 or 6 picks out, or I have to maybe have a really big queue, which is what I've done in this draft. I've gone together and basically before we hopped online, I went and put a ton of players in my queue just to give me a little bit of a guide on guys that I was keeping an eye on, because things can change so quickly here. We've seen here Phil, a good friend of the show, and is doing some awesome write-ups at the moment, isn't he?
Oh, isn't he?
For
unbelievable.
For all those punters out there who love the NBA. So we're seeing Phil pair Halliburton with Miles Turner, which I really like.
An
We've got
Indiana
Skitty on the
Pacers
board here
stack.
at the moment.
Love that. A Pacers stack. Go, Phil.
I'm not sure whether Skitty timed out there, but he's gone Tatum into DeJounte Murray, and it doesn't seem like a pick he'd take. Hewins has pounced and gone with SGA into Jaren Jackson Jr., which is again another good pairing, I think. What's you got your brother in this mock, Mick? What do you think Anthony's thinking at the moment? He's got Embiid. Who's he pairing him with?
Yeah, I think he's going to pair Embiid with a guard.
Yep.
As we all know, he's the second best center on 2K in the family. So, and there you go. Oh, well, he's taken a forward. He's taken a flex. Paul George. He does like Paul George. I reckon he'll look at picking up. If Jalen Brunson's still there at the turn for him or Jamal Murray, he'll pick either of them up.
And this one continues to fall to me, this pick. I picked him last night. I've picked him in probably 3 mocks in the last 3 or 4 weeks, and that's Evan Mobley. So Evan Mobley seems to be going around that late 30s, early 40s mark, and I feel like I need to reach it a little bit, just thinking like I've got a short turn, which is great, and I can pick someone up on the turn here relatively quickly, but on my pick back around, I'm going to have to reach on someone knowing that there's a good chance they don't come back to me.
Yeah, that's right.
100%.
So there goes
and I'm
Brunson.
not sure who that is.
So Roy Banks has had to wait 39 picks in between his first pick and his next pick.
It's a long journey. It is a long journey.
There goes one of mine that I had in the queue, but it's probably a little early for Jordan Poole, but again, he's not going to get a pick into the 60s. So if he wants Poole, he's got to take him now, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, I think
Absolutely.
this is the thing as well why we say it's a shit show. And I put my hand on my heart saying it is chaos. And this is the reason ultimately why when we start to look at like where guys go, there's such a disparity between picks between you. You've really got to think on your feet the whole time. Everything you're doing is just like bang, bang, bang out of the way. Guys like Zach LaVine, like you think it's only the 3rd pick, but it's the 43rd pick in the draft. So do you see that same value for him? So there's a lot of guys going to go flying out the door. Like Drew Holiday, what do we think of his value in Boston, boys, this year?
Don't love it.
I mean, I love the fact that Porzingis probably gets a more prominent role with Robert Williams out now, but does Drew Holiday play the same kind of role that he played, in Milwaukee? Maybe, probably. You still got Jason Tatum there. You've got Jaylen Brown, who just signed a big contract. Kristaps Porzingis is definitely going to want his hands on the ball, isn't he? So is Drew the 4th scoring option? Yeah. Is Tatum going to be the main ball handler? There's way too many question marks for me for Drew Holiday.
Yeah, and that's who Anthony's picked up.
Yep.
So he's got his center, he's got a forward, he's got a guard. So he's spreading the load nicely here. But for Drew, just going back to your thoughts and opinions, Nath and Matty, he's the 4th option in the Celtics offense, which is going to feature the top 3 heavily. He's a facilitator. He's nice on the defensive end, but I anticipate his offensive numbers to drop.
Yeah, and I think the conversations around this, I think the biggest victim of this whole thing is Derek White. There are people looking for upside in Derek White this season, and you can't tell me there's that massive upside for Derek White now for the Celtics with Drew Holiday being around. He is
not a chance.
He is a superior defender. And do you think maybe White's a better defender? Because I think that's a dynamic backcourt, Mick.
I don't think White starts. I think he leads the 6. He's the 6th man.
Ooh,
they've got so much in the way of options.
That is hot.
They've got Holiday, they've got Porzingis, they've got Brown, they've got Tatum. They could throw out that Sammy Hauser or someone out there as a knockdown shooter. They've got plenty of defense. Why wouldn't you run with Derek White running the bench?
What about Peyton Pritchard? Start him at the 2.
Who's he?
Who's he? Exactly. Yeah. Look, they've buried Peyton Pritchard for so long. I think this is the year that guys on the fringes of the Celtics, for them to be the team that obviously has championship aspirations, they need to run deep. And they need to give these guys like Hauser, Pritchard, basically anyone needs to step up there. They've lost some depth, but they've gained Drew Holiday. And I think that's what, is what's going on with them. And Robert Williams, I think, was a massive loss, to be fair, because if Kristaps goes down, the only real pickup you've got is Drew Holiday up in the offseason.
Yeah, that's right. He's an improvement on Marcus Smart, but yeah. The last few picks, just for the people watching at home, Jamal Murray went number, 40, 44. Vucevic, 45. Zion Williamson, 46. Jaylen Brown, 47. I picked up Josh Giddey at 48, probably reaching a little bit, but he's definitely not coming back to me. And again, I've now got 3 triple-double threats and players that do a little bit of everything on the floor. Chet Holmgren at 49 and at 50, DeMar DeRozan. And as I said last night, boys, the more I hear his name, the less I like it. I think he's on the way out. His age has got him.
I was waiting for the DeMar joke of some sort, so I'm glad you're rolled with that. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think Damar's sliding, which is why I took Zach LaVine with my pick, because I feel like Zach LaVine probably becomes the guy now in Chicago. I mean, look, he's been a part of trade talks, but I feel like they have to lean into him now. Damar is getting older. I reckon he's getting older. He's not going to be the guy they're going to continue to lean on that much anymore, in my opinion. Do you disagree, G? Do you still think that Zach LaVine maybe is not going to be as valuable as what I think?
I have not max emotions. I have maximum emotion about Zach LaVine. No, I have mixed emotions about Zach LaVine. I think he's either going to be traded or he's going to play well. It's just like it's like playing a tennis game in my head about what I think is going to happen there, because it's very inevitable that they could blow that team up. They signed Vooch back. They've given him an extension deal. So they're looking for it. I was also pissed at the same time that someone took OG Anunoby, because that's who I was like, oh, OG's still on the board. And he fell in our draft last night, and I picked him up, and I was like, just like Mick Dell with Pascal, like, he's dropped to me. Let me take that. So, but no, Zach LaVine, mate, I'm not there on. I think he's, I think he's definitely a guy who is either going to perform for you or he's going to be traded, but he's still going to perform somewhere else. He just won't get the same return.
Fair call. What are your thoughts? Last couple of picks now. So obviously after OG Anunoby at, what do we has in maths? 43, 40. Hang on. I'll work out the maths later. It's not my strong
We're
point.
at 57. This is my third pick at 57.
Nice.
There you go.
There we go. So Walker Kessler went before you to Damo. Before that Rudy Gobert went incredibly early to Rob. I'd love to know what Rob's thoughts are on that, because Rudy Gobert's been dropping to 70, 80 in the majority of the drafts that I've done. Am I missing something that you boys see with Rudy Gobert, or has he gone way too early on him?
Early.
Cool.
Yeah. The
early.
reason for me why that's early is because he's getting a little older. He's lost a little bit of his speed. Like, he is 7 foot 100, so he's not going to have a lot of speed in the first place. But that lateral movement to be able to keep in front of defenders when he switched onto the perimeter, he's just lost a little bit, which is why his block numbers went down last year. And he just doesn't work well with Cat. So I think we'll see Cat on the way out. But even when he does go, he didn't really take over last year when Cat was injured.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think, look, this is a guy like who I've said, this is a guy everyone was high on. Mick, we've done fantasy for some years. Mate, used to take him top 20. And he used to boy you. If you were taking free throw percentage, get Gobert in. And now people are just not there on him anymore. Like, he's not that defensive player of the year candidate. He still does contribute, especially in those tank free throw teams. But people are picking up Walker Kessler before Rudy Gobert. And Walker Kessler, literally in Utah, is the new Rudy. You know what I mean? Like, it's the same. It's just not different.
Except they got 5 draft picks for him.
There you go. And one of them was Walker Kessler, who went the pick before me, straight after Rudy Gobert, was Walker Kessler. Ironically, I picked up Tyrese Maxey, Bradley Beal, Claxton. This guy's built a couple of centers there. So Michael _ because one is not enough H, has paired Victor Wembanyama with Nick Claxton. So obviously now it's the Chet Holmgren clock is running. I like Claxton there. This is Mick. Please say who just went off the board. Please say it.
Paul Banchero.
Yeah, I love it when you say it like that.
It's like that was different to what I've heard. The way I've heard you say it. I mean,
Paul
I've heard
Banchero?
Bankero. Yeah, Paul Banchero. I've heard him a bit, but that was good, Mick. I like that.
No,
who's he going to pair him with? It's a bit of a weird one, isn't it? He's got Kyrie,
Waggles,
Karl Anthony Towns.
Waggles.
I don't really know what he's trying to build there.
No,
Brandon. Yeah, okay.
Brandon.
The throw.
Interesting.
That's an interesting. I think he's filling up spots. Yeah. Also, Brandon Ingram is a guard in Fantrax. Can I just say, I've never seen him play shooting guard.
Never. I small forward, power forward. I would have said for Ingram, which is what I thought it was. So anyway, there you go.
Mick, what were you about to say, mate?
No, I was going to ask you. You picked up Harden, and then you picked up Kawhi, who I really like. I think he's got, especially in this format, first round value this year. And then you've picked up James Harden's replacement for when he does eventually leave in Tyrese Maxey. Yes. Where are we looking to go here, mate? I really like that pick. Are you looking to go largish here? Pick up a forward center?
No, I think I can get value in centers late. to be fair, in this draft. And to be fair, this is what I'm not doing. I want to be very clear that for all this, what's Matty going to do in I-League? This is not what I'm doing in I-League. This is me literally, I'm taking the piss of myself, being like, I'm literally trying to have a fun build. I'm not going to lie. I am trying to make the most fun build I can. And I'm looking to squirrel in on some things that I haven't done in the past. So for me, this is a purely fun build. And I'm actually trying to focus on getting some guards and forward depth first. And then I'm going to tack to my bigs. So this is me literally having fun with the draft, but trying to be tactical and win it at the same time, which is hard. But Cam Johnson, picking him up at 65, and I think the value that he brings by way of points, 3-pointers, I'm trying to really get those in. High free throw percentage, effective field goal percentage on these guys, I like. And I like Cam. I know he's got some injuries going around right now, but I think I'm going to try my luck at getting centers late. Guys on the board right now who I was looking at, like Chet Holmgren, Jalen Williams, Scotty Barnes. Like, these are guys that I like because I'm picking right now at 64, and they're not going to come back to me. Like, there's no way that I know that Jalen Williams is going to sneak past either of you two. And again, I will be probably aggregated on YouTube again for saying that I do not. This is like my bugbear. Oh, and there is my point.
There he goes.
There he goes. Thank you. He went at pick 65.
Damo.
It's Damo. And I say this, boys, you know me. What is the floor? What is the ceiling? His ceiling could be a top 30 NBA player, but I don't think he's a top 30 NBA fantasy player in this season. He is not top 40, I don't think, this season. Is he flirting with top 50? He could buy some drinks at the bar, maybe. But again, if you're picking up Jalen Williams between 55 and 70, you're drafting him at like optimal because he finished 74 last year. If he goes around early, he's what, 55? So I think picking him up at 65 is reasonable. And Devin Vassell, who I know you like, McDell, after the line, Klay Thompson off the board. Devin Vassell, I know you love, mate. Who are you thinking now that some of your guys that you like are coming off?
Yeah. I've got guards in my queue at the moment. So I'm looking at, I need steals. I've just run my team through fantasy scores, and I will win this cat most weeks. I've got the dark green in 5 categories, but one category I need to shore up is steals right now because I can stream in threes later and I'm punting free throws. So when we're running with that, I'm probably looking at a Markelle Fultz or someone sneaky nice that I like that I picked up last night as well. Tyus Jones from Washington. He does a little bit of everything. Picked up a triple-double last year too. I think he's going to have a greater role at Washington, facilitating Poole, facilitating Kuzma, plenty of assists there. Gets rebounds, out-of-position rebounds for a 6'1", 6'2" guard. So he's another one I'm looking at as well.
Mick, can I ask you a favor?
Yeah.
I want to ask you this. I think I want to do an experiment with you live, and this I'm literally pulling on this on you. I'm pulling on you live, and that sounds about as dirty as I could say in this podcast. And there we go. Ben Simmons, guys, go and pick at 71 in this draft. That's about where you take him with triple doubles as a cat, correct?
I'd even say that's a stretch.
That's
to be honest. Like, I mean, look, what did he do last year? Do we trust that Ben Simmons, now shooting threes at training camp, is now the 7th year in a row that we've had Ben Simmons comeback season? I don't necessarily trust. I don't trust him enough to take him as a top 80 player, even with triple doubles as a category. I really hope he does come back. As an Australian, I hope he fucking kills it. But I will be looking elsewhere purely just there's too much risk around what happens with him this year to start the season. I might trade for him later.
Mick, can I ask you? So, well, obviously, Braino, that's a no from you. You don't take him there in triple-double league. Mick, do you take him there in triple-double league?
No. At the earliest, I'd look next round because there's too much value right now to pass up 20 picks to pick up someone that might play.
Can I say, I see what he's definitely trying to go for that triple-double category. If you look, he's got Sabonis on his team. Jimmy Butler can drop them in. Simmons is probably doing that, but I love Simmons. I would rate that pick higher if it was with a team that was really points heavy, had a really high free throw percentage. If you put him in there to add to those counting stats to get that triple double, and he's not going to tank you because he doesn't get a high, because he's so scared of taking free throws, he doesn't get to the line much. You know what I mean? The psychology is I'm not going to try and attack the basket so I don't get fouls, so I don't have to get the free throw shot. And I know, Braino, you said it. He's shooting videos yesterday. Ben Simmons makes 10 in a row. Amazing. You're not buying that shit, are you?
Look, I like to see it. Don't get me wrong, it's nice, but until I see him put that black and white uniform on and go out there and take a catch and shoot three from the corner, or I see him running downhill like the 76ers days in year 2 and 3 where he used to dominate and he used to score triple doubles for fun, I will be very cautious around Ben Simmons. So there's a few picks on this topic. I guess we're moving on. Ja Morant went at 71, so we're stashing there. Chris Middleton, 72. Tyus Jones, 73. Austin Reeves went at 74. Phil's taken Tyler Hero at 75. He mentioned in a chat with us that he's pretty high on Tyler Hero after looking into the Miami and doing the Miami season preview for the punters in our Discord chat. So that one, I mean, you didn't like it, Mick?
No.
And I'll tell you what I don't like either. Scoot Henderson being taken one pick before I was going to take him. Thank you, Anthony Delaney. You can pass that message on to your brother.
I will.
Can you text him right now and just call him a dick for us? That'd be really funny.
Sure.
My thoughts on this, we're looking at pick 79 for me, so my 4th round pick. There's a couple of options for me. I mean, I've got a forward center, Luka. I'm probably going to have to tank free throw percentage with Luka, potentially even turnovers. But I'm going to take a bit of an upside pick here, and I'm going to... Oh, am I going to do it? Yes, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take Anthony Simons. Now, obviously, with that opening, I was looking at Scoot Henderson, obviously in the same team for the same reason, now that Dame Lillard's moved on. But we've seen some glimpses of some brilliance from Anthony Simons. So I'm really hoping that extra opportunity this year provides that next step for him. And it's straight back to me after Jalen Duren and Bridges. Miles Bridges was stashed. So that's thrown me off a little bit.
Well, yeah, while you make your pick, Nath.
Thank you.
Jalen Duren at 80. Nice stretch? Or do you think that's nice value there?
Oh, look, it depends on what he's building. If I look at his build, he's got Jokic, so he's got his center position. He's got Brunson, Poole, Duren, and Bridges. Look, Bridges is about the time where you want to take him because Bridges, I think, is one of those guys who can return top 70, top 60 value at the end of the day, even higher than that potentially, depending on what the role and how it shakes out with the new system in Charlotte. Duren is someone who I like this season, but I don't like him there. If you're trying to get the center spot because you're worried if you're going to get one, Jakob Poeltl just went out. I would probably have taken Jakob Poeltl over Duren, to be fair. I do love Duren this season. I just don't know if I'm there with that being my 4th overall player in my team. Does that make sense? Like if this was a 12 or 14 team league, he'd be going later in the draft and I'd have another option. But there, I think it could be a bit too soon for him. Him and Cade is going to be fun to watch, you reckon, boys?
100%.
Yeah, that's going to be good fun. I mean, we saw from Jalen Duren last year what a presence he had on Detroit, and he locked the paint down for them and did a fantastic job. And Mick, we did a bit of a trade that involved Jalen Duren at the back end of last season in one of our leagues, and I think everybody wins in that scenario. Jalen Duren, quality player, and a nice little trade package.
Yeah, love that trade.
So Jeremy Grant's just gone off the board as well.
He's not even 20. The man is a man mountain.
Mm-hmm.
He's a huge boy. Now,
so we're now getting Nick, we're now getting into the thick of the shit show, as G mentioned earlier. We've got through 85 picks now. So Bruce Brown at 86 is as much as we love Bruce Brown, and we've talked a lot about Bruce Brown, 86 is crazy.
Too early, Phil. Too early, Phil.
Phil's reaching because he's not coming back.
Yeah, 100%.
I've got one for you, G. With Chris Paul running point guard, Steph Curry shooting guard, Klay Thompson at the small forward, do you think Andrew Wiggins has got value this year?
Oh, that's a loaded question. I think. Oh, I don't want to disparage. I hate. You know what? I hate shitting on dudes.
But you're gonna do it.
I'm not. I'm not gonna go full tilt. I just don't think people should be like chasing Wiggins and thinking that he's going to have some massive thing. People forget that he's a decent enough basketball player. He can put some good numbers on the board, 100%. But I think with his absence makes the heart grow fonder. Have we heard about that with our with your loved ones. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. That's exactly what I think fantasy punters are doing with the absence of Andrew Wiggins last year. They see the promise and the potential, and because they've been away, Mick, you took a bloke there. Tell us about Mark Williams, because I'm probably more interested in the upside of someone like Mark Williams this season than I am what the possibility of a known commodity like Wiggins really is.
Yeah, Mark Williams, clear number one center at Charlotte. I think a year in the system under Steve Clifford, we know he doesn't like to play rookies, but he's clearly better than Nick Richards. I think in a pick and roll situation with LaMelo Ball, that's going to free him up a lot. And all of a sudden, with PJ Washington coming back, Rozier, Bridges, like they can all shoot the three. There's going to be a nice amount of space there for Williams to work inside. So don't mind that pick there at all.
Yeah, no, I like that.
And he shoots a free throw fairly well for a big as well.
Yeah, he's been improving on it. That's someone. Oh, Wendell Carter. There we go. So can we start to see, like, there's a lot of people just filling up their positions now. This is like one of those rounds where people are just going left, right, and center.
Yep.
Porter Jr.
This is Austin Reeves still around? I'm just seeing if he's just taken home.
He's long gone.
He's long gone. I didn't see that one go.
Previous round.
Capella and Fultz. So I'm asking you this. Onyeka Okongwu, who I like to call the omelette.
Mm-hmm.
Do you take Capella as a Hawks? This is straight shot Hawks fan for you, Braino. This season, do you take Capella or do you take Okongwu? Gun to your head.
Okongwu, not even a thought. I mean, Capella's been in trade talks, right? They're talking about, Dallas maybe being in the conversation around Capella needing a big man, but I don't know whether that happens now with Derek Lively. So maybe they lean into him. But there's plenty of trade value there for Atlanta. It kind of makes sense that they move him on. And as we're speaking about this, Okongwu's been taken by you, which is exactly the pick that I would have taken. I would have taken Okongwu over Capella purely because Capella's getting on in age. Yes, he's great, but Okongwu has so much upside. I think Okongwu showed us last year when Capella was out. He became, I think, a top 75 player on the season at one point when he got a stretch of games under his belt. So I'm taking Okongwu every day of the week.
Yeah, 100%. I just like it. And I think it's a guy who I'm really interested to see his upside. And I guess that brings us up. I took Okongwu at 96, then Mitch Robinson, Draymond Green, Tobias Harris took us to pick 100. How's this Harris filling in nicely there for Tom Hall? 12, because 11 of Tom Hall's in this world just isn't enough. We need 12 of them. There's been some interesting picking around, people filling positions up. There's some interesting team building. We can see Michael's going with Fox, Wembanyama, Claxton, Şengün, Draymond Green, and then Jalen Green as well. Jalen Green risk this season. It's good, it's bad risk. Where do you associate that this year, boys?
Not bad risk now. I think in the 6th round. So what's that? We're talking about when the 110s now for picking.
102.
There's value. 120s now, is it?
102.
No, 102. I don't mind it. I think past 100, you're not reaching at all. You would hope that under Udoka, his shot selection's a little more cautious, and that his field goal percentages go up. And I think alongside Fred VanVleet, in a system where we've seen Harden had an interview with the Rockets, basically talked him out of a max contract there. They want to play more team ball. I think that probably suits him a little better.
Yeah, agreed. And after him went Robert Williams, Time Lord, there with 105. I picked up Chris Paul with the 105th pick, which I'm super happy with. 106, Shaedon Sharpe, and Trey Jones. The other T. Jones, not to be confused in your drafts with this season between Tyus Jones and Trey Jones. The San Antonio incarnation of T. Jones went to Robbie, and making its way quickly back to you guys like Keegan Murray. Upside this season, you're thinking the Kings? I think they're going to have to lean more on him, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, I think Harrison Barnes, he's unfortunately had his time in the NBA, and he's basically just a placeholder there until Keegan Murray gets to a point where he can just take over.
You make him sound like he's dead, Mick.
Wish he was. No, I don't say that. I don't mean that. He was a good player, but
he's a good player.
I think he's done now.
I really want Harrison Barnes to hear this and just tweet you right now, being like, "I'm still alive, dickhead. Like I can still play the game." Who was that today? Did you guys see Evan Fournier snap at Tom Thibodeau and then Tom Thibodeau clap back in the Knicks press conference?
No, I did not.
No,
Did you read this?
Evan Fournier. Socials.
I might have to do it. Evan Fournier is like, I can still fucking play. And he's like, they just didn't need me. They didn't need me. And then the response from Tom Thibodeau, when asked later in the day, he was like blunt after this. He goes, I'm a good player. I can fucking play. And then later in the press conference down the line, someone asked Tommy Thibodeau about it. And Thibodeau was like, he'll see. Yeah, we'll see what he does. We'll see.
I think Tom Thibodeau in maybe a press conference previous was talking about the fact they were asking him whether there were going to be any major changes to the roster or the rotation or anything. And he basically said, well, whatever their record was, I can't remember off the top of my head. He's like, that speaks for itself. And it was a half decent record for the Knicks. They obviously finished up top in playoff contention. And he goes, well, we're not going to really need to change much, are we? So a bit of a snap at Fournier not making it back into the rotation is pretty clear over there. So he will 100%. Be traded by the sounds of things. But the problem is there's not much value there for him.
No, there's not.
There's not. Mick, I love your pick. Talk us through Joshy Hart and how we do love Josh Hart this season.
I have the opposite opinion of Josh Hart as to what I have of Harrison Barnes. I love that man. He does so much for me. Out of position rebounds. He dishes out his assists. He shoots the three fairly well. Gets his points. Averages just over 11 points. He does a lot. Gets a steal a game. He can be the cherry on my cake. I love it.
You made me a bit hungry there.
I'm just really, for Josh Hart or cherry cake.
Both. I'm very concerned at this point in the draft. We're coming up to closer to 120, 115 now. I've got one forward eligible player in my lineup at this point in time, and I'm looking at forwards at the moment. Aaron Gordon was on my list, and Skiddy's auto draft has ruined my life. It's very thin at the moment in forwards, and we've been so used to, for both of us, we've been so used to doing 12 team drafts, 160 max or whatever it ends up being, that when you start getting around this number, you're thinking end of draft, but we're not even 6 rounds in. So you've got to look real deep, don't you? You've got to be basically maybe the last 2 or 3 rounds, you're just taking complete flyers and just hoping to God someone comes together for you.
Yep.
Braino, to players like Bogdanovic and Herb Jones, do they tickle your fancy at all? Like Bogdanovic, I feel as though he's going to get the chance to really show off and push up his trade value before he gets shipped off out of Detroit.
I think that's what they're probably going to try and do. Build him up a little bit early in the season, then move him on and put some time into their younger players. But do I like him enough to pick him? Because wherever he goes, there's a good chance he plays a bench role. Let's be honest. I'm not quite sure. Okay. Herb Jones, on the other hand, I mean, I like his game. Is there enough?
Trey Murphy's out for potentially the year.
Yeah, that's probably the only reason I'd look at him. Now, speaking of, I might hand back to you guys while I make my pick.
Yeah, no, on that Trey Murphy, so rumored 20 games. There's been a bit of an update out of New Orleans the past day, and they will be trying to bring him back as soon as they can. Not to obviously push him and put him in any way, shape, or risk. And I've seen him already be taken in this draft. So I think you hit the nail on the head there. To be fair, like if guys like Herb Jones are still around, you've got to look at him because he is going to fill that spot while guys like Trey are out. But I think the other question for me, and I'll let Braino answer this afterwards, are guys like Saddiq Bey, they exist in Atlanta. And when Saddiq came over last year, he got more of a role. He did have some good times in the Pistons, obviously as an option there, and he's been moved on. So I think he's still in 4 seasons into the NBA. So he's not exactly, out of his prime, so to speak, but he's definitely someone who's going to be an option and a heavy rotational piece in Atlanta this season, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. Mathurin.
I think so.
I like it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think he's pretty much solidified starting role over in Indiana now, hasn't he? From what all accounts anyway, from training camp, from preseason. So I don't mind his game. I know it's very heavy scoring. Shoots the ball relatively well, but I took Herb Jones off the back of basically what you guys have just spoken about. I can reassess maybe when Trey Murphy comes back, but they use Herb Jones at the small forward role more often than not, and use him as a bit of a lockdown defender. So he's not going to get his points up, but he does fill the stat sheets in steals and the odd block, which I do need in my roster right now. I'm a little bit short on those defensive stats. So, that's why I took him.
Talking about defensive stats, McDaniels for your brother there. I really like Jaden McDaniels. Mick, you picked him up last year. You like the overall game that he can bring, especially in a deep league.
Yeah, he does. And there goes one of the people out of my queue. Thompson from Detroit. I really like him here. But Daniels, he does a bit of everything. Sneaky, nice defensively. Gets you a steal, or almost 2 stocks a game, as you would say, mate. 1 block and 1 steal a game. Scores the ball, I think it was 13 points a game. Not over the top, but just nice value.
Yeah, like that.
Now
who's the eyes on with your queue going, Mick? Who are you? It's some guys that I know that you like Sohan, Thompson are going out, McDaniels are going out. Reed, I know you. These are guys I know that you like. So this is going to be a bit frustrating for you.
No, because I'm looking to fill my flex spot here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go Jaden Ivey. That's going to help me with my streaming of threes as well. I think he's going to, with Cade Cunningham now coming back. Jaden Ivey handles the ball a lot less and goes back to his strengths, coming off screens, hitting shots.
I like that.
And then
After
we've got
you.
So we're at Paul Reed, then we've got Jaden Ivey to you. And Yusuf Nurkic, change of circumstances now. So obviously not in Portland anymore. What are our thoughts on Nurkic in Phoenix? Like, I mean, is he a screen setter and rebounder? Is that basically where it ends now in Phoenix for him?
And a putback guy, yeah. I read last night in the last 4 seasons he hasn't played more than 53 games in a season. Yeah. So you've got to be willing to cop that.
Yeah, I'm not willing to cop that. Not at all. There you go, Russell Westbrook. Triple doubles this late in a draft at 133. That's golden. That's golden value there for Joel T. 91. Golden boy. Russell. Can we start calling Russell Westbrook the golden boy?
Absolutely.
Also, love that they've still got him in his Lakers uniform on his profile pic there on Fantrax. That's just fantastic.
There you go.
Yeah. My head is being done in at this point. I probably have left my forward range a little bit down, potentially.
I definitely have. I'm with you on that. I went very guard heavy at the start of the draft, and now when you, like I said earlier, when you open up forward or you filter forwards, you go, hang on, where are they all? Where'd they all go? There's a few real nice late flyers that I'm keeping my eye on that I'm definitely not telling you blokes about, but we will see. They're probably going to be all off the board, all the good ones anyway. Will be all off the board by the time I get back.
Well, I just found in my draft when I was looking through my queue that Kawhi Leonard was in a guard spot, funnily enough, and I can't remember the last time he decided to be the shooting guard of the Los Angeles Clippers. So I've just moved him into a forward spot, so I can't pick up another guard here. So I'm probably starting to look into some more. I'm probably needing some more rebounds because I need those forward spots. I love Josh Hart there. He was someone who I had my eye on. So I'm probably going to just pick up someone who can do a little bit of everything for me. And I'm going to pick up another Philadelphia guy in DeAnthony Melton, who a bit of a Philly stack out of nowhere. I actually don't mind it, to be fair. The auto pick's taking Kevin Porter Jr. Sorry to interrupt. Obviously, that's not going to be a genuine pick. There's a few guys on here in auto draft now, which means that the draft will start to pick up a little bit. So definitely not relevant, Kevin Porter Jr. this year.
No,
but thank you very much for taking him out of the queue and any consideration for me, Michael __H. Rebounds now getting late. I don't really know who I'm looking at. To be fair, I'm a little bit like, you know what? I'm going to have to take him. If he's still there, I'm going to have to take, I mentioned him earlier, Sadiq Bey. I think at about 145 for someone who gets rebounds, puts points on the board. Really exceptional free throw percentage as well from Sadiq. Like, that's not bad. I'm probably okay, like, steals wise. I don't really like Matisse Thybulle.
I like Sadiq Bey. I feel like the only risk for Sadiq Bey is that maybe he doesn't start the season that well and Jalen Johnson plays out of his skin and they lean into Jalen Johnson and a bit of a youth movement there. That's the only way I can see him being replaced. AJ Griffin was fantastic last year for the Hawks as well. Does he find his way into the starting lineup? Does DeAndre Hunter then maybe slide to power forward, which is also a chance of happening? Not a great rebounder, but they've experimented with Hunter at power forward before. So there's a couple of different things that could happen.
Yeah, I'm going to go my Bay. I'm going to go Sadiq. And then I'm going to ask you guys an honest question because we've done this a couple of times and I know I've had a couple of tweets about it and people like it, that we do occasionally talk about guys that we shouldn't talk about. Good. If I ask you to call out on your cues right now, I've got to, I'm just going to, I'll send one of you, I won't send a message, but I'm going to type it out, ready to go. The guy who I would like to take next, I'm going to ask if he's in either of your cues. So, and I'll show it. I'll call myself on it. Can you guys read out your cues? Next two guys in your queue. Can. Obviously, for your next two picks.
My next two guys, Pat Williams and Tari Eason.
Oh,
okay.
I've got Grant Williams and Dylan Brooks.
Now, one of the guys that I like, and we all know Obi Toppin, I've talked him up and I haven't taken because I'm just choosing not to take Obi Toppin in any draft because of my love for Obi is going to blind me sideways. Quentin Grimes. So I'm now waiting to see where Quentin Grimes falls because that whole thing with Fournier today, that solidifies me. And I know if it's just gone up today on the Insight Podcast Network on our YouTube and audio, go and download it, go and check it out. Make sure you like and subscribe for your chance to win an NBA jersey by putting your name in the comments. So if you haven't done that, we're on the quest for 1K. I talk about second year guys. Quentin Grimes is now, for my mind, the solidified starter for the New York Knicks. And if I can pick him up next way down, I really like what he can do. And he's also got dual position eligibility as well.
Love that. Love that. Cannot complain. We spoke about, we did the Knicks podcast together, G. Grimes could be that, like we said on the pod, the 25 and 4 guy. In a year or two, realistically, like his progression's been great. Tom Thibodeau's obviously trusted him at the back end of the season last year as well, which is massive because Thibs doesn't trust his rookies and his young players too often. So the fact that he's lent into Quentin Grimes is huge, I think, for his development. So yeah, he's a watch this space guy. Absolutely.
100%. Mick Grant Williams.
Yeah. Yep. I like him. I watched a little bit of the Dallas, Minnesota game today. Purely because in our draft last night, I picked up Derek Lively as my center. Yep. Even though he didn't stuff the stat sheet, looked really nice. Had 3 blocks, altered a lot more shots. So as a rebounding and block streaming center, really, really valuable. There's still a little bit to go there at Dallas, but Grant Williams, as we knew, played a little bit of defense, spotting up in the corner. I think he shot 2 for 7 from 3, which isn't great, but it's preseason. So he's getting a lot of looks, though.
Yeah, 100%.
Importantly, he is starting there.
My queue has been destroyed over the last minute, I reckon.
Ma, I recommend you one Quentin Grimes.
Yeah, you could have sold. I won't take it just for the sake of the podcast. I won't take him.
No, 100% though. Take him if you were thinking like if you do it, man, take him. He's like I can get someone else, but that's the thing about. I'm happy to call it out because this is what happens in real drafts, and I think we need to do the best. Like our best advice to our punters, Braino, you know it, Mick, you know it. If the best guy gets taken out of the draft that you have on, you've got to change your plan. Mick, you shouted out at the front of the pod today. You've got to be reflexive and change. You've just absolutely been shat on 100%. With all your picks. You have nothing else to do. Who would you be looking at? Maybe that's a guy now who gets your attention because you've listened to our work and you're like, oh, you know what? If that's a guy you want, man, fucking take him, bro.
He's the second guy I want, so we'll see. We'll see if Anthony
takes him.
You might
get him on the way back around. There's no way Dell's taking him. No way Dell's taking him.
Yeah, hey, you never know. You never know.
There you go. He took
Al Horford. Okay, he didn't. He definitely didn't. Now, the word around the Golden State Warriors is that they're going to look to small ball this year. You know, Draymond Green's going to play a lot of 5, but Draymond Green's also injured and being, I think I saw probably about 3 weeks he's being reassessed. So I'm going to lean into Kevon Looney here as a little bit of a safe pick and hopefully get my guy on the way back around, which looks like I will in Quentin Grimes. So I could have waited on Quentin Grimes, which is perfect, but Kevon Looney will shore up my rebounds and my blocks. I was down on rebounds in this build, and I think he may get a decent run to start the year with Draymond out.
Can I also point out this is
3. So I had Dylan Wright and Dylan Brooks in my queue. Because I've been looking for steals and 3s, and they're both gone.
Can I not recommend you Quentin Grimes because Braino's taken him?
Yeah, he's gone.
I'll trade for you. We'll talk trade after. I'll give you Quentin Grimes for one of your 6th round pick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I just also say, I swear to God, Phil keeps on taking Obi Toppin in every draft that we do with him, just so we can try and trade me him later in the season.
100%.
And he's probably listened to Matrix as well a few episodes because Matrix is in love with Jeremy Sohan this year, and he's also got Sohan as a San Antonio Spurs diehard fan. So, which I don't mind that pick. I don't hate it. He's not a guy that I'll be drafting this year, just with Wembanyama. I mean, he has to play small forward, doesn't he, Sohan, to be relevant?
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I think with Vassell signing that contract recently, they've really put a lot of effort into him. And I just think Vassell's going to have that because people are regulating they're fading Keldon Johnson, and they're really putting a lot more stock into Sohan. But you I know Sohan, you love Sohan, don't you, Horsey?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do. I wish I hadn't left my picking forwards run until now, though. It's very fucking thin. Talk to me about Jarace Walker from Indiana.
Jarace Walker has the potential to be a starter. I know that Phil put in his write-up on our Discord about Jarace Walker. Look, Jarace has potential. If it doesn't work out with Obi Toppin, if you're thinking about him, Mick, this is a flyer pick for you. So you grab Jarace now as a flyer, and you can move on with him later, mate. That's the kind of guy that Jarace is. He doesn't have a stable role yet, but he very well could. And he could be 7th, 8th man in the rotation.
I'm picking up one of my favourite players of all time.
Oh, yeah. Australian legend.
Whenever you pick Matisse Thybulle or we talk about Matisse Thybulle, all I remember is in my league how we all met in NBA 2K. So a bit of background: the league let you put badges on players for anybody who's familiar with how 2K works. And Mick decided he was going to put Hoff clamps, Hoff pickpocket, Hoff all these defensive badges, and he just ran around with Matisse Thybulle all game and just stole the ball off you about 10 times a game. So I've still got a bit of PTSD from him and DeAndre Hunter in your lineup that my league year, Mick. So thanks for that. Speaking of DeAndre Hunter, he's just been picked up.
Yeah. And it wasn't DeAndre Hunter, it was Jonathan Isaac, who I may pick with the
Jonathan
next pick
Isaac
as my flyer.
Yeah, that's a nice flyer too.
Yeah.
He's gone. Someone took Jonathan Isaac out ages ago.
No.
No, they took Isaac out. I saw that ages ago. Someone took him really high. I was go back and have a look.
Damo took him in round 7.
Yeah, Damo took him really early. Look, to be fair, he's got a right. He's like one of those. Everyone's forgotten about him because he hasn't played basketball for a very long time. So, I mean, yeah, Isaiah Jackson. This is you're fucking joking, aren't you, Lays? And he's there too, Lazy. Now there's a beautiful homer pick. Can you join me in giving a ceremonial round of applause to our good friend Mr. Rob? Well done, Rob. He's taken his favorite player of all time.
He got his favorite player. Yep.
He got his favorite player.
You stupid.
I am. No, we love you, Rob. You're not stupid. I'm going to take a flyer though. No, I'm not. I am. I'm not. Do I take last 2 rounds? Yes. I'm willing to gamble on guys, but I don't want to take him now because I want to take him in our own league. I'm gonna fill that forward spot with Karis LeVert and make one Mr. I'm going to move him from reserve into forward because I'm very thin there, and reserve from Sadiq Bey into there to fill up those spots. I'm going to make that's for Jake Skidmore. He's been high on Karis LeVert, and I think it's time that I give Karis LeVert a bit of love for what he can do as the 6th man in Cleveland. Just that's for Skiddy. That's for our boy Skidmore.
There you go, Skiddy. Caleb Martin at Miami, nice late round pick, nice defender, shoots the three fairly well as well. Max Strus at Cleveland, don't really like that. Don't think he's going to get much time there. We're talking, he's behind Don, he's behind Garland, he's behind LeVert, he's way back in the depth chart.
Can I just say,
Speaking of
because
depth-
this is... Oh, go,
Sorry,
Brian.
sorry, G. I was just saying, speaking of depth, is anybody getting RSI from scrolling so far down? We're 200 deep, or we're getting close to 200 deep at the moment, and I've gone into no man's land here. I think I'm starting to look at blokes that are ADP 230, 250, rank 400. So it's getting pretty dire out here, boys, I think.
Who's this guy, Robert Parrish? Jesus.
Andrew Bogut's still active in the league, isn't he? I found this the other day.
I saw him in a draft.
Oh, there he is. Yeah, you can still search it on your search screen just to show the punters at home. Australian legend Andrew Bogut apparently is still able to be drafted in the NBA, wearing his Lakers uniform. May I add?
He won't be.
Or is
going
his
there.
Cleveland uniform? Is there even news on him? Rogues Bogues. There's actually news on him from 2020 still out there, so they really need to update that.
I had Luke Kennard as my streaming threes option.
So I'll be honest, this is where I'll talk about my build, because what I was about to do before we just had a bit of a chat then, Braino, was I had Luke Kennard and I had Keontae George, both who I really like. As a last round flyer, I really like those guys. So this is where in my last round, I'm looking for guys who can either come in and break out and play a role, or guys who I'm going to stream in and target for my season. So I think there's only one guy left. I'll probably do it just because I'm not going to, I'm going to go just because you mentioned it before, NBA 2K, and the first guy I really bought up. Oh, I can't pick that pick. It's going to auto draft me.
Who are you trying to pick?
It says I cannot pick that because my team will have a legal roster. I'll have a maximum of players. Oh, it actually gave me Kobe White in the end anyway. I was trying to get Kobe White or Malik Monk, and it wouldn't give me.
Probably glitchy. I was just about to say you can't pick Steph Curry in the 10th round, mate. He's already been picked.
Yeah, no. I was trying to pick up
And
Kobe
David
White.
Robinson retired 20 years ago.
Did he? Jesus, Larry Johnson. Larry, just need to type in Larry.
Yeah, that's right.
Mama. No, so I was going to pick up Kobe White because he was the first guy that I managed to badge up and make somewhat decent in NBA 2K. So that was a bit of a deep cut to our earlier one. But this is where I've lent away. We talked about it earlier. We're obviously doing a mock I-League draft. And again, shout out to all those boys and Karl, absolute legend running the ball league. It's an 11 cat league. So for me, I realized a long time ago that I was absolutely fucked for triple doubles. So I've just decided to tank that the entire way and lean into other categories to try and win. Again, 11 cats, I need to win 6. So I've tried to get a lot of threes, a lot of points, some assists, steals, free throw percentage. But I've really tried to target my 3-point percentage because I think that's one that needs to be. So that's where I've actually lent into having a decent 3-point percentage. Ended up being the build for this, which was something I didn't expect off the draft.
And it's a bit of a paradox, or isn't it? Like where you focus on trying to get players who can shoot threes, but they can also then tank your 3-point percentage, your 3-point percentage. So like you get guys that knock down a lot of threes, but they're taking 11, 12 shots and shooting at 38%. It might actually tank the category that is directly opposed to it. So for me, I usually try and steer clear of threes altogether. I don't usually focus on threes in 11 cat, and try and find a guy who can get a triple double for me, and that kind of evens it out for me.
Yeah.
So my last pick there, lads, after Corey Kispert was taken, was the last one in my queue, and it's someone that's going to be starting for the Lakers, apparently. Taurean Prince, nice 3-point shooter, plays a bit of defense as well. Might get me some steals, definitely will improve my 3-point percentage, though, and 3-point makes.
Very
Nice.
true.
Like that.
Jalen Suggs as well, going in the last round. Josh Green gone. Richard Holmes. In the
Isn't it Rick Horn?
Richard. Richard and Paul.
There goes. So the last pick was Derek Lively from Dallas. Mick, you got some pretty strong thoughts about potential there with him?
Yeah, I do. As we were saying earlier, in the pick and roll with either Luka Doncic or Kyrie Irving, as Dallas do, they'll spread the floor to try and make room for Luka. If it doesn't work, he'll hit Lively inside. Really nice in and around the rim, although today's statistics won't back that up. I thought he played quite a nice game, especially on the defensive end. 3 blocks, altered a lot of shots. He looks nice, and for me, he's locked in as the starter there in Dallas.
I like that. My last pick, the 199th pick of the draft is Gabe Vincent, purely because he's the only guy I had left in my queue after I got flogged. I had Terrence Mann loaded up. I was looking at Terrence Mann. It would have been a nice option. I also had Josh Green, who I think has a big upside year in Dallas this year as well. But they both got taken before me, so I had to think on the fly. Gabe Vincent, decent opportunity over there. Probably gets some backup point guard minutes. Might be able to get some really, really late assists, which is quite rare, isn't it, to get assists really late in your draft. Usually you see most of these guys that have assists nice and early.
Yeah. Wrap us up, G. What do you reckon, mate?
Yeah, look, I'm just looking at guys who are still around, and you said like 200 picks deep just then. And there's guys who I'm really curious by, like Drew Eubanks in Phoenix being one of the guys there that I'm super curious about. Like he's got some real potential, especially if, like, as you said, Nurkic hasn't played more than 53 games in the last 5 years, whatever it is. Whatever that stat was you read out earlier to us, Mick. Well, Drew Eubanks is the backup. I know everyone's like, oh, but Bol. Like there's this thing about Bol. No, it's Drew Eubanks. And he's like one of the most dependable backup centers in the NBA. He immediately becomes like a run. If you watch Nurk go down, Drew Eubanks, you are running to your waiver wire for that guy this season, 100%. Other guys who are serviceable, like Killian Hayes, he's not even in the rotation anymore. Nick Richards, he's going to be the backup center over in Charlotte. So it really does get thin when you start looking down the list here in a league. But my favorite, the East Coast cooler, Bilal Coulibaly, he hasn't even been picked up in a 200-man league. So it really shows you that when you're in a deep league and you're playing with although it's 20-man, your teams are thin. So you've got to maximize every single spot. Yeah. So I think that the thing is just go with your gut and draft on the fly.
And I think if you look back again, does anybody pick up Dorian Finney-Smith in Brooklyn? What's the opportunity there for him? Is he going to come off the bench, play 15 minutes a game? Is that pretty much what he's looking at this year, G?
Yeah, look, possibly. Like, guys also like Larry Nance. Like, what's his role? Like, I know he's dealing with a recent ankle injury, but Larry Nance was serviceable last year. But with Zion hopefully having a full season, and just Larry get some more backup minutes because Trey Murphy's out right now. Cam Reddish didn't show much today, but last season in Portland, he was a streamable guy. So I guess guys like Aussie's own Joe Ingles is on there. If you're streaming 3-pointers with a 3-point percentage, which is really good, Joe Ingles is definitely someone you want to have on your team if he's knocking down 2.5 a game, and it's a plus 400. Like he's like an older Luke Kennard. I know you were like high on taking a Luke Kennard, Braino.
Yeah, not me. I think that was Mick, but no, I agree with the sentiment. But you've also, I'm looking at two guys here that are sitting on the waiver wire at the moment if you want to stream threes in Seth Curry and Grayson Allen, who are two very serviceable options in their own right there. Seth Curry finds his way back to Dallas again. Grayson Allen finds his way into Phoenix in a new opportunity over there. Who knows how they're going to use him? Which is why, again, I'll probably double down on the fact that I don't usually really focus on threes too much during my draft. And maybe if they come to me, fantastic, but it's not a really big focus point for me. And I actually don't ever really punt them purely because you can find them so easily on the waivers. You can stream threes probably easier than you can stream any other category. Do you guys agree?
Mm-hmm. I agree. Actually, I want to ask Mick that question directly because Mick, I know that you, especially in I-League, so I shout out to them. I've got to ask Mick because I know in the playoffs last season, we were talking early in the mornings about I remember the text I was sitting at a coffee shop and you're like, Matt, I'm looking at these guys. What do you think? And we were bouncing because I wasn't in that run. Talk us through your journey with 3 points made and 3-point percentage in a very competitive league. And who were you phasing in and out last season? Because I know that there's a couple of those names that we just said that you use. If you can remember that.
Yeah, I can. Probably the number one, believe it or not, is sitting 297. I've got it here in my rankings. Isaiah Joe from Oklahoma City. He was brilliant for streaming threes, shot the three really well. Yeah. Nice high arcing shot, but he was shooting at it, I think it was like 45% from three last year. And he ended up winning me a lot of games in my league by whatever it was margin, which got me through to the finals. So he was probably the number one out of all that. But with who's left here, probably the number one guy that sticks out to me is Cameron Payne, who's just signed at Milwaukee. 100% will be the sixth man there and will run the second unit there. Him alongside Bobby Portis, I think can do some damage there in the second unit.
Can I just say, and this is back to your story there, Mick, I know he won you a couple of leagues and got you through in the playoffs, and you rolled him directly into Seth Curry as well. So that's where he came you roll him directly off a back-to-back stream. I've got to drop I've got Joe just to make this work, and you picked up Seth Curry because of that high ability to make threes and at a good clip. And I think looking back down through my list, there's guys talking about the Bucks like Malik Beasley. He has a potential role there this season with that depth in the second unit. There's one guy, though, who really showed out to me that I'm really going to keep my eye on in the season. I think this is someone who I've really has ingratiated himself to me with plays in Dallas. It's Jaden Hardy. He has shown out, again, it's the preseason.
Went off today too.
Kyrie didn't play. Now, Kyrie wasn't on the team last year, and Hardy was doing these things. So we need to be very mindful of what Jaden Hardy does bring to the organization, because if it is a situation where Kyrie does get traded, which we all know is a potential, I don't rule anything out with Kyrie Irving anymore. Jaden Hardy is a guy who I am definitely keeping my eye on, who will go into a role and he's serviceable because, and this is what I like about that Derek Lively performance today. It might actually put some people off him because he's a rookie. We've got to remember he's a rookie, and rookies don't really show out in fantasy basketball that well to start off with. It's you've got to invest the time. Like Jalen Williams last year, I took him. I was high on him. I held on to him. And again, not being aggregated about Jalen Williams on social media, but you boys were in leagues with me. Did I not take Jalen Williams? And people were saying, aren't you going to drop him? And I held him. I held him all year long. Facial fractures, not playing well, inconsistencies as a rookie.
Do you know who else didn't start well last year and came on and was top 50 value by the back end of the year?
Who was
Walker
that one?
Kessler.
There you go.
Walker Kessler.
There you go. So, I mean, like, if you talk about these guys who are, you need to put up with stuff like the shit show that can be Derek Lively to start the season as he finds his NBA feet. Like Jalen Johnson, like you love him over in Atlanta, your home team this year, Braino, but it's for good reason, isn't it? You've got to put in the effort.
Oh, absolutely. I always said as soon as we drafted him and I saw a bit from him, I thought that he was I wouldn't say a better option than John Collins, but he was John Collins 2.0. So that's what is probably what opened the door to be able to move John Collins, knowing that you could fall back into Jalen Johnson and get a very similar kind of role out of him. I do like his game. He can attack the rim well. He's actually improving in shooting the three. He gets your defensive stats. He gets your steals. He gets your blocks. If they give him minutes this year, he could be a guy that you end up picking up off waivers and you hold him for the rest of the season, depending on how they use him.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's the thing. This is the sleepers and our best picks of the season. In a bit of a heartbeat, boys, what was your best pick of today's draft? Each of you. Mick, who was your best pick? And was there your best pick? And was there a sleeper you managed to pick up that you were very happy with? You got at the end.
Yep. I really like picking up Jaden Ivey in the 7th round. I think that's really nice value for me. And my best pick, I'm going to call it a tie between Josh Hart and Tyus Jones.
Okay. What about you there, Braino? Same two questions.
My best pick, maybe just in change of circumstance. I don't want to go and say Luka. It's too obvious your first round pick. Maybe Anthony Simons. I kind of like where I got him. I got him at 79, which I think is, there's plenty of upside there in him. I feel like maybe the sleeper that I picked up quite late is Benedict Mathurin, just with what we've seen from him last year. Just the balls on the bloke to go and call out LeBron James as a rookie as well, I'm a big fan of. So if that was a category, balls on a second-year sophomore player, he's in my team. But Benedict Mathurin is a smoky. I like him. What about yourself?
Look, I think it's the Okongwu, the omelet and Chris Paul picks. Like getting Chris Paul after pick 100, I think is value. Like, it's a guy who's just been dependable in fantasy for many years and contributes across the board, has an elite assist rate and elite free throw percentage rate. So really happy with that one. And the omelet, Onyeka Okongwu at close to 100, to get him in a draft after Capella goes off 2 picks beforehand. I mean, I question. I do question. I know Capella is the starter at this point in time and therefore should be drafted as such. But just that upside on Okongwu, I think those were for 2 of my favorite picks and upside picks at the same time.
Can I just mention very quickly, G? Sorry,
go.
I mean, as an Atlanta fan, I've been watching quite closely the minute split between Okongwu and Capella, and it seems to be getting a little bit closer now. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a 24-minute split between them this year. Which means that we see Okongwu's value probably coming up and Capella's maybe dropping backwards unless he gets traded. They've shown that they want to lean into him. And Quinn Snyder obviously has shown that he wants to give Okongwu some opportunity. So I reiterate the fact that I'm picking him before I'm picking Capella.
Yeah, 100%. And I know it's, again, this is probably where in drafts or Mickey, like you know it as well, Mickey Dell, that when you're looking at a draft board and those names that are above it, those are where you're picking probably off like, okay, he's up there for a reason. And so some people may take that pick before someone with a bit more upside. That's why Capella would go.
Yeah, for sure.
Boys, thank you so much. That's huge. Thank you very much as well. I guess the big thanks is to our 17 friends and analysts who joined us today for this 20-man mock. Like I wonder, like this gets filled up and people get in there and they get their cues if they can't make the time, just to give it the most authentic approach as possible. A big thanks to those 17 guys. And also we must shout out a big thanks to our good friends over at Fantasy Scores, also at our friends Standard Squeeze, but also to our mate Ryan at Astute Newstead. Now, if you've ever wondered what is the best bank, if your current interest rate is too high, is that dream home that you want even affordable? Well, Ryan is the guy to help you out. He's a good mate of ours. He is absolutely a dependable source and a most trustworthy human because he specializes in residential home loans with over 50 lenders on a panel, including the major banks. And the best part is it's obligation free and he doesn't charge a fee like other brokers as well, which is huge. He has a whole range of services, but do check him out if you're looking at a new home. Check out Ryan at Astute Newstead on 0431 766 784. That's 0431 766 784, or email ryanh@eganwealth.com and use code INSIGHT to let him know we've sent you, boys. Thank you to both of you as well.
Always a pleasure, mate. Thanks for hopping on and sharing insight with all the ball page guys. You know, we talked a lot about triple doubles. We talked a lot about different categories, expanded categories in this one, which isn't very common, but it is growing in popularity. So hopefully the guys get plenty out of this. And for anybody who is in the 20-man league, good luck this draft. Good luck this season. Yeah, You're going to need it.
Yep.
Welcome to the shit show.
Yep. I was going to say thank you, boys, for joining me through the 80 minutes of pain. Let's get this 20-man draft over and done with and enjoy the season.
Take care, all.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.